Hey class, this is our last summary that we get to go through together. Hopefully you're doing this today and not during Thanksgiving break, but if you are, I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I hope you ate a lot of turkey and ham yesterday, since technically this is due Friday of next week. So, well, technically next week if you're doing it early, and if you aren't and you're doing it during Thanksgiving break, then it's due Friday of Thanksgiving break. So, we're going to jump right along. So Jem is convinced that the jury will acquit Tom Robinson after the evidence Atticus presented. He is found guilty, and Jem is really upset about it. We are going to read a little bit of what the African American community do for the Atticus family. So we're going to jump right in. Calpurnia said, "Tom Robinson's daddy sent you along this chicken this morning. I fixed it." "You tell him I'm proud to get it. Bet they didn't have chicken for breakfast at the White House." "What are these?" "Rolls," said Calpurnia. "Estelle down at the hotel sent 'em." Atticus looked up at her puzzled, and she said, "You better step out here and see what's in the kitchen, Mr. Finch." We followed him. The kitchen table was loaded with enough food to bury the family. Hunks of salt pork, tomatoes, beans, even scuppernongs. Atticus grinned when he found a jar of pickled pig's knuckles. "Reckon Auntie'll let me eat these in the dining room?" And then you're going to read a little bit more about how Atticus takes this love and appreciation the African community give towards the Atticus family, even though Tom Robinson was found guilty. So we're going to continue to read through. We are skipping a lot. Miss Stephanie was trembling with excitement, and Miss Rachel caught Dill's shoulder. "You get on in that backyard and stay there," she said. "There's danger a-comin'." "What's the matter?" I asked. "Ain't you heard it yet? It's all over town. This is very similar to the movie." At that moment, Aunt Alexandra came to the door and called us, but she was too late. It was Miss Stephanie's pleasure to tell us. "This morning, Mr. Bobbio stopped Atticus on the post office corner, spat in his face, and told him he'd get him if it took the rest of his life." So that's how that chapter ends. So we're going to go ahead and move forward to the next chapter. Chapter 23. In the days following the trial, Bobbio publicly threatens Atticus, which obviously frightens the kids. Atticus gives a really good insight of Bobbio and how he plans to handle him. And then Aunt Alexandra is very harsh on Scout of who she hangs out with and spends her time with. And of course, Scout doesn't like it because Aunt Alexandra is trying to act like her mom when she's really just her aunt. "I wish Bobbio wouldn't chew tobacco," was all Atticus said about it. According to Miss Stephanie Crawford, however, Atticus was leaving the post office when Mr. Yule approached him, cursed him, spat on him, and threatened to kill him. I love that Atticus kind of diffuses the situation instead of him being mad, which he has all right. He was like, "Man, I really wish he didn't chew as much tobacco. Maybe, it would have been as unpleasant as it was. Obviously, getting spat in the face is never pleasant." We're going to move on. This is when Atticus kind of tells the kids not to worry, that Atticus believes that Mr. Yule actually doesn't mean he's going to kill Atticus, really mean it. Obviously, when he said it, he might have meant it. "He meant it when he said it," said Atticus. "Jem, see if you can stand in Bobbio's shoes a minute. I destroyed his last shred of credibility at that trial, if he had any to begin with. The man had to have some kind of comeback. His kind always does. So spitting in my face and threatening me saved my Ella Yule one extra beating. That's something I'll gladly take. He had to take it out on somebody, and I'd rather it be more than that house full of children out there. You understand?" Oh my gosh, I love Atticus's perspective here. This shows outstanding compassion, that he would much rather be spat in the face if it saves my Ella from getting beat, or for his kids to get Mr. Yule's anger. Really great textual evidence to use on the quick write tomorrow if you want to use some good textual evidence. This is a great example of compassion. Let's move forward. And yes, we are skipping a lot. Pretty sure you're like, "Wow, Mrs. Cancio." Yes, we are skipping a lot because there's just a lot of dialogue that isn't super important, that for the sake of our goal of analyzing how to inspire people to be more compassionate, I want you to read a little bit from here to here about Aunt Alexandra and the way she sees people. "Well, I do too. Don't be silly, Jean Louise," said Aunt Alexandra. "The thing is, you can scrub Walter Cunningham till he shines. You can put him in shoes and a new suit, but he'll never be like Jem. Besides, there's a drinking streak in that family a mile wide. Finch women aren't interested in that sort of people." Auntie, said Jem, she ain't 9 yet. She may as well learn it now. So Aunt Alexandra is basically telling Scout that she is unable to hang out with Walter Cunningham just for the basis of the kind of family he comes from, which is obviously racist and discriminatory and disrespectful. And this is Alexandra saying this. I didn't say not to be nice to him. You should be friendly and polite to him. You should be gracious to everybody, dear, but you don't have to invite him home. What if he was kin to us, Auntie, meaning family? The fact is that he is not kin to us, but if he were, my answer would be the same. Auntie, and I love what Jem says. Jem spoke up. Atticus says you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family, and they're still kin to you no matter whether you acknowledge them or not, and it makes you look right silly when you don't. That's your father all over again, said Aunt Alexandra, and I still say that Jean Louise will not invite Walter Cunningham to this house. If he were her double first cousin once removed, he would still not be received in this house unless he comes to see Atticus on business. Now that is that. So poor Scout kind of really is hurt by this, and at the very end she says something very, very poignant about Boo and seeing life from his perspective. So you're going to read that on your own. Last but not least, chapter 24. Let's go ahead and continue. Aunt Alexandra invites Scout to her missionary society meeting with a bunch of women. And, Scout learns a lot about the particular things women talk about, not saying all women talk about this, but for this missionary society. And it was kind of like gossip, nothing really noble, and she really doesn't like it. She's very uncomfortable. And at the very end, Atticus delivers some really, really sad news. So we're only going to read a little bit. I didn't know whether to go into the dining room or to stay out. Aunt Alexandra told me to join them for refreshments. It was not necessary that I attend the business part of the meeting. She said it'd bore me. I was wearing my pink Sunday dress, shoes, and a petticoat, and reflected that if I spilled anything, Calpurnia would have to wash my dress again for tomorrow. This had been a busy day for her. I decided to stay out. Can I help you, Cal? I asked, wishing to be of some service. Calpurnia paused in the doorway. You be still as a mouse in that corner, she said, and you can help me load up the trays when I come back. The gentle hum of ladies' voices grew louder as she opened the door. And we're going to skip, like I said, a lot of the dialogue, but basically this is supposed to be a missionary meeting, meaning they help people in need, but the whole basis of their conversation is talking bad about people, which is gossip. Can I carry it in? So she's asking Calpurnia if she can carry in some of the food. If you be very careful and don't drop it, set it down at the end of the table by Miss Alexandra, down there by the cups and things. She's going to pour the tea. I tried pressing my behind against the door as Calpurnia had done, but the door didn't budge. Grinning, she held it open for me. Careful now, it's heavy. Don't look at it and you won't spill it. My journey was successful. Aunt Alexandra smiled brilliantly. Stay with us, Jean Louise, she said. This was a part of her campaign to teach me to be a lady. And sure enough, we're going to be skipping a lot, but the basis of the conversations that go on are very negative, very condescending, and very much about gossip. Go ahead and read what kind of world Scout likes to be in when she realizes what these ladies talk about. The front door slammed and I heard Atticus' footsteps in the hall. Automatically, I wondered what time it was. Not nearly time for him to be home, and on missionary society days, he usually stayed downtown until black dark. He stopped in the doorway, his hat was in his hand, and his face was white. Excuse me, ladies, he said. Go right ahead with your meeting. Don't let me disturb you. Alexandra, can you come to the kitchen a minute? I want to borrow Calpurnia for a while. You're going to read more detail. We all know that Tom does die. He tries to leave the jail. I want you to see how many times he shot him, all right? The chapter does end with actually Aunt Alexandra feeling very bad about this situation. She actually cries, but we are going to skip it. But for your homework, there's a question in regards to these two paragraphs that I've highlighted, okay? And then once you're done with that, you can just answer the questions and be done with Thanksgiving break homework, which hopefully this wasn't something you did on Thanksgiving break. Thank you so much for getting this done ahead of time, or if you've done this during break. I hope you're having a wonderful break, and I will see you all on Monday.